My background, I'm an anthropologist, an archaeologist by training. Anthropology is an unusual discipline. It is the scientific study of human variation across time and space. So all that makes up human biology, all that makes up human culture across the past, present, and future. It's an incredibly encompassing field. It's a field that intersects the natural sciences, social sciences, humanities, and the arts. It is a science that requires a creative, innovative approach to bringing different points of data together to interpret human behavior in the past, present, and future. And my talk this evening is about the importance of creativity in our economy today, in our future economy. As a college president, I travel around the Midwest and around Michigan, and I'm now on a board planning the future economy for delivering a report to the governor for Michigan for the next 20 years. And without a doubt, the number one skill you hear from employers is that they want talent. They want people to work with them who are creative, innovative, and who can connect different points of data. Well, how do you become creative? I would say all creative people are lifelong learners. But what is the source of creativity? And there's really two ways you can become a creative person, an innovative person. Creativity, if you talk to people who study creativity, is the product of the exposure to diversity. That means diversity of people, diversity of ideas, diversity of experiences and places. It's the combination of those things that allow people to see a perspective from different points of view and to link different disciplines and different experiences together. Right? How do you get that? And how do you create an educational pathway that promotes creativity and generates creative, innovative people? There's two ways you can get that experience. One, you could travel around the world. You could read the great works of literature. You could study human history and prehistory. You could study math and science, and you could potentially gain the skill set that you would get from a liberal education base of a four-year degree, potentially. The other way that most people get it is through their college experience of studying a broad curriculum and a broad series of perspectives, regardless of the major, to link and develop skills between different points of view. That's really what a broad becoming an educated person is about. So the purpose of higher education is greatly debated today more than ever. There are many people who believe higher education's primary focus is to develop talent and develop people for a job. That is a relatively new thought. Right? The traditional perspective of higher education, particularly baccalaureate education, is to develop a well-rounded person who can adapt to different careers, who can take a major and apply them to a variety of jobs. And an educated person has a series of skills that are designed to develop their human potential to the fullest. When people ask me, what do you do? What do you produce at the university? We produce opportunity. That's what a public university does. We don't produce widgets, we don't produce things. We produce opportunity for the public good through investing in individuals to make them creative, innovative, broadly educated. And these skills are more important than ever in a knowledge economy, in a changing economy. That industry and jobs and careers are changing rapidly at a pace that we've never seen before. You need these skills. So this is a broad sort of set of the purpose of higher education. I would argue there is a dramatic difference between education and training. Training is learning a series of skill sets for tasks. Education is learning how to think. Not what to think, but how to think. And one byproduct of that, if you have a true college education, is creativity and innovation through exposure to a wide range of courses and experiences. You should know who this person is, Professor Moody, our most senior historian on campus. You walk into his office, and this is one of the first photos I took when I came to Lake State, and you see lifelong learning and a thirst for knowledge and an interest in connecting different cultures on this planet across time and space to produce an educated person. You cannot walk into that office and not be inspired and not be a curious person and ask questions about what are these artifacts, what are these pieces of history, and what do they mean, And if I take your course, how are they going to be relevant to if I'm going to be an engineer or if I'm going to be a theater major or whatever it is I'm going to do, right? And when I tell people I work at a university, those folks who aren't familiar with a modern university, they think of this sort of ivory tower concept of higher ed, and this image really, I think, portrays that. I love this image. I took this, and it's amazing how many people have shared this image. It's one of the best portraits I've ever taken. And one of the most interesting conversations I've ever had was that day when I walked into his office. So I argue that the most important education today, and also by way, the most expensive, luxurious education that was at one time reserved only for the elite throughout the world, is a liberal arts-based education. An education that exposes individuals to the humanities, to the natural sciences, to the social sciences, to math, to analytical thinking, to the fine arts, all of these things. At one time, in the United States, the only place you could get this was at a private university, and particularly an Ivy League university, that you had to pay or come from a privileged family. The idea of the first public universities in the country were to take this concept and expose it to everyone, because it produced the greatest good. It produced the most educated citizens who had the greatest opportunity, regardless of their major. Okay? So the liberal arts is actually, people get this confused all the time. They think it is the humanities and the fine arts, maybe the social sciences. All of science and all of mathematics is part of the liberal arts, is part of the core curriculum or a core liberal arts major. Okay? Now, I am not arguing that everyone should be a liberal arts major, one of those fields. If you're a science major, you're a liberal arts major. It's hard for people to understand. That's true. Or math, or if you're in history. What I'm arguing is that the most important education today is one, regardless of if you're an engineer, regardless of whether you're going to be a nurse, regardless of whether you're going to be a professor, regardless of you're going to be a business person, is that you have a liberal education base, which means you've taken courses in all of the liberal arts fields that develop these broad skill sets that apply to the major. Okay? And the major is really the technical component, the training component of your education. I majored in anthropology and archaeology. I tell people I'm trained as an archaeologist. I'm broadly liberally educated, and not the political definition of liberal. Okay? Liberal means broad. Liberally educated people have strong communication skills, written and oral, have analytical skills, an understanding of science and math, empathy, one of the most important qualities to navigate the modern world, to connect with people, different people. An appreciation of the human condition of the arts, the ability to make connections. This experience produces highly creative people and innovative people. And it produces a series of skills that can transcend any job as you move forward throughout your career and your life experience, and generally produce lifelong learners, of people who are thirsty for knowledge and experience. It's critical with this experience to see the connection between disciplines, between, for example, science and the humanities. The humanities guide the application of science. What is its impact on the human condition? What are the ethics of applying science? What is the value of applying science? Absolutely critical if you're a scientist. The humanities plays a tremendous role in sources of information in my field, in archaeology and anthropology. And I can tell you, having worked with all kinds of engineers in my career as an archaeologist, I could instantly tell, working with an engineer, where they went to school in my state, because there were schools, the best engineering programs, that had a liberal education base. And the engineer working with me in the field could understand the aesthetic importance of their project. They could understand the social dimensions of what it is they're building. They could understand the environmental dimensions. Those engineers that didn't have that broad base could not. They could only understand the practicality of their project. So the best engineers had this experience, and they were tremendously creative in the way they approached their problems. Same with business people. Okay? And that's why businesses today seek these skills out. They often don't use these terms, but that's what they're looking for. So what I am arguing for, creativity and the best type of education, produces individuals who have a lifelong thirst for knowledge and curiosity, and who can understand the natural world, the social world around them, can understand how to apply science and technology to a problem, can appreciate the aesthetic qualities of what it is they are engaged in. in the pure value of aesthetics, and can also have an appreciation for what they are doing and how it connects with other peoples in different cultures on the planet. That is the source for creativity. That is the source in what we aspire at a university to produce an educated person, regardless of what their major is. Thank you.